So far, we've been working on the Komatsu family page, right, in the main one. We're going to now move to Genta page, so Genta Komatsu's page. And we're going to make some differences here. So that's going to take a couple of things to set up. Number one, we want to connect this to the style sheets, both the ones that are already done and the ones we're going to do. So in the genta.html file, go ahead and add some link tags. So the link tag we're going to do, the href, is we are in the HTML file, so we need to go in the styles folder, and then we want the TB_reset, and this is going to be a relationship of style sheet, and that ends our link tag. Now we're going to need 3 of those. So we'll go ahead and add 3, and we're going to change the file name. So the second one is styles 2, right? We used styles 3 before. Now we want styles 2. And the third one is visual 2. And this one's blank, and that's where we're going to be adding styles. So if we save that and we come back over here and refresh, then we see the styles that we get. So these are the ones that come from the reset and the styles 1 sheet. And so now we'll be adding, if we go up into the styles visual 2, that's where we're going to be working. Oops, that's visual 1. Visual 2, that's where we're going to be working. And what we're going to be working with is the transform property. So the transform property lets us take an element and transform certain elements about it, certain characteristics about it. So it's a CSS property, and here's an example. Notice that the property transform has, here it's showing you 3 different properties that you can change, and there's actually quite a few that you can change. Translate, scale, rotate, and skew are really common ones to do it. You can play each one, or here's a group of 3 where they're showing you the rotate, skew, and scale and what that's different. So here they've done 20 degrees on all of them, and rotate means it takes the element and just turns it right clockwise or counterclockwise, so it's just rotating it. Skew, there's a skew X and a skew Y. And what it does here, notice that the Y position, that's the up and down, it changes. So it skews it so that it's in a different place. And there's the 20 degrees that it's adjusting it. And then the last one is scale. And this just makes it bigger or smaller. And it's saying scale it in the Y direction. And if we make this bigger, we can say, ooh, scale it 4 times in the Y direction. Then you see it get very big. Right? It's 4 times bigger than it was. So it just scaled it. Notice how it scaled the text and the box. So everything is just scaled larger. And there's a scale Y and a scale X, and just a plain scale that will do it in both directions. So this transform property here, they've used just a single value after it, but you can actually do multiple things, like so you could rotate it and skew it and scale it all in the same property. And we're going to do some of that. So let's go ahead and see how we can transform these images. So we're going to be working here in the transformation styles. And again, this is in Visual 2, the style sheet Visual 2. And we're going to be working with figures in the figure box, and we're going to be working with the ID figure 2 first. So let's do that one first. And we want to use the transform property. So transform, and here let's rotate it first. So rotate, and we want to rotate a negative 40 degrees. That's the same as doing a positive 320. You're working with 360 total degrees, and you can either go right all the way around, or you can go negative, which takes you counterclockwise. So this one says we're going to go counterclockwise by 40 degrees. And let's just go take a look and see what that changes. Well, there's figure 2, and we've got that. It rotated it counterclockwise 40 degrees. Then we're going to do scale. Now, when you do a second one in the transform property, you just put a space. So just a space. And then we want to scale it. And we'll scale it 0.8 and 0.8. And here we're doing, this is X, Y values, because we're working in two-dimensional. And so we have an X value and a Y value. And if we refresh that, okay, did you see how it got smaller? It just scaled down, right? So now it's 80% of the size that it was. And then translate actually moves it. So now we're going to do a translate, and we haven't seen this one yet, it wasn't even in our demo. And again, it has an X and Y. So we're going to say, oh, we'll translate it 20 pixels in the X direction and negative 100 pixels in the Y direction. Remember that negative in Y goes up and positive in X goes to the right. So let's go see if we have that. Up and to the right. And that looked like it went left. So let's go ahead and do it one at a time so we can really see what's happening here. So let's translate the Y, and it's really moving it from its original position. So let's just translate Y. Well, let's go back to where there's no translate. You don't have to do this because we're going to go back to the original anyway. I just want to show you so we actually see the movement. So let's go ahead. Here's where it is after we did the rotate, right, and the scale. So now let's go ahead and add, oops. Let's just add the Y transformation. And it's a negative number, so we expect it to take it up. And we rotate, and there it moved up. Now notice when it moved up, it felt like it moved to the left too. And I'm not exactly sure why we're getting that feel of a movement to the left. It's probably related to how it looks when it's rotated. But we see that now we've moved up with that negative, and now we'll go ahead and translate the X direction as well. And this one we want 20 pixels, so this will, since it's positive, it'll move us in the right direction. So let's save that and watch it move to the right. So notice 20 is much smaller than 100, but it moved a little bit to the right. So that's what it added. So we rotated it and we scaled it, made it a little bit smaller, and then we translated. We actually moved it both in the X direction and the Y direction.